Hi, my name is Jacob Wortley, and today in our Intro to Web Design class, we are going to take a look at file structures, file directories, and file paths, and the purpose and the functions of how they work. The objectives, first we will try to understand the purpose of the URL and the way the URL works. Next, we will understand the file structure of a typical website, how those files are organized, and why we organize them in that fashion. And last, we will try to understand the two types of file paths and understand the purpose of those as well. Next, we will look at the URL and the breakdown of the different parts of the URL. The first part is the protocol. This is typically used for communication between the server and an internet browser. There are two standard types of protocols, HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS is typically for more secure lines of communication such as banking, and HTTP is more standard communications such as Facebook, Google, etc. The next level we will look at is the subdomain. The subdomain, typically most people see this as www. This is how the server location in which you are communicating with World Wide Web is typically what www stands for, and where you are communicating with most of your websites, but there are other subdomains that you can see. Next is the domain. This is typically the name of the website that you're going to, so facebook.com, google.com, etc. This is kind of the way you know the website most commonly. Next is the top level domain. This tells you more what type of website you are viewing. So .com is typically a commercial website. .edu is education. .gov is government website, and so on and so forth. Next is the category. The category is the first part of the file structure that we will take a look at later. The category is usually a folder that is used to store the different files and pages within a category of that website. You can also have subcategories, which is just more of an organizational structure to be seen within your website. And finally, the last part of the URL is the actual web page you are viewing. So now we will take a look at a real example on UNK's website at these different parts. So as you can see, we got UNK is located on www, the World Wide Web, and the subdomain is the top level domain is edu, so it is an education website. If we click on academics, you will see that the first category that UNK has structured is an academics category, so all the files located within the academics portion of their website are under that file. And then finally, index.php is the actual page that you are viewing. Index is typically the home page within a category or a website. If you scroll down, we can see, if we go to accounting and finance, you'll see that the subcategory now becomes accounting and finance, and then we are at the home page of the accounting and finance page. And if we look at awards and honors, that final page changes to awards and honors. Now we will take a look at the file structure system used for website design. The purpose of the file structure system that we use is to provide better organization for websites. This makes for easier maintenance and updating. Typically, large websites are ran by many different users, and sometimes there could be dozens, if not hundreds, of users updating a website. So if we think back to the UNK website that we just viewed a minute ago, there's hundreds of different departments within UNK, and if they just jumbled all their website files into one category, such as unk.edu, and put all the files under one category, it would be virtually impossible for the different departments to find their files that they need to work on and update. This allows for them to be able to go to just the accounting portion files and be able to update that page without hunting through thousands of files. So first, let's take a look at the file structure. First, we have our top level. This is typically the file that contains all the website files and categories and subcategories within a website. So this would be the unk.edu file. This would house all the files within the top level. Next would be your category files. These are just the category files that hold all the different pages and media and pictures and all the stuff within that category. So for example, let's say this application 3 was our academics file. The next file down, we would have a subcategory. This category right now is media. This would hold all the pictures that go within the academics portion of the website. You can have dozens of subcategories that go down and keep going down, but this is a very basic file structure that we would look at. The final thing we will look at are the two different types of paths used to create links within your website. The first type we'll look at is called an absolute path. This is commonly what most people see and use in their daily lives when you're placing a link in a Word document or sharing a link on Facebook or Twitter. These are called absolute paths. These contain the whole URL from the protocol to the subdomain, the domain, and all your files on up down. These can also be used in web design, but these are typically not because they are slower. They're not as efficient when you're talking about loading hundreds of different links within a website. They can be slow, and they honestly take a lot more time to type out a whole URL than it does just to type out the path. So the second type that we will look at, and this is most commonly used in web design, are the relative paths. These contain short code used to design a website. So you can look at right here. We talked earlier, index.html is typically the home page of our website. So right here within the code, you can just type index.html instead of http://www.mysite.com. This allows for a lot less coding. And then from there, you can call just the category and then the picture that you are looking for within it. And then you can use the same thing, your category, your subcategory. Instead of typing out the full URL, you just have to type out the path that you want to go from the page you are on. So we can take a look at this in real life code here. So on page, I created a short 3-page, very basic website right here. Our page 1, you can see we have 2 different relative links. This will link us to page 1, which is in the same category as our page 2 and page 1 are in the same category. And then next we have an articles category, which is page 3 is located in. You can see that instead of typing out the full URL, you just type in the category / the page you want to open. And then you can see this compared to an absolute link where you have to type out the whole URL. They both open and work, but it's much shorter when you're typing hundreds of lines of code to be able to use a relative link versus an absolute link. Page 2, it looks very similar, but this time we are linking back to page 1, which is in the same category, and then our articles in page 3. Page 3 is going to look a little different because we are actually one file ahead within our URL. So to go back, we actually have to go put 2 dots. This goes back a file set, and we are able to go navigate through our website. So if we look at this website, it is very basic and simple, but as you can see, we've got our link to page 2. This will open page 2. We can go back to page 1. The same thing, opens your category and articles, and then you got page 3. This we can go back to page 2 or go back to page 1. And finally, our absolute link will open Google. So today we have taken a look at file structures, the URL, and the different types of paths. These are all very important when you are learning basic intros to web design.